something is they gave us hazard pay. And
Oh,
you
no.
you can get hazard pay because you can hurt yourself in these rakes and these things, and
Oh,
you
the
know
rakes.
you can hurt it. You go into the theater. I'm in the theater right now. It's freezing cold for some reason. It's freezing cold.
Oh my God!
So I start the show being very pleasant. And then in the middle of everything, I start these kicks. You know, and now my warm up is worn off, so I'm doing these kicks, and my hams are like, ning, 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 you know, it's just like, whoa. And then you don't have time to heal those hams. How do you heal your hamstrings? You have to stop stretching them for 2 weeks. But you keep doing it in the cold every night. You know, people have to take into consideration that actors are human beings, and we are working with everything.
Oh yeah, I asked the stage manager one night doing our show, and it's like, okay, why is it so cold? It's freezing. I've got practically a ski suit costume on, and I'm still freezing. Why? Oh, because the audience needs to be...
So they don't go to sleep.
It's like...
That's
right. And you consider that we kind of have to do this every day?
Every single night. Every night. From opening night, we have an argument. I think it's too cold, he thinks it's too hot. So there's the poor stage management, and they will turn off the air vents for us, and they'll turn them right back on for him. So I'm out there on stage, and I'm like, looking at him like, I am so cold. And he's like, and he's dripping with sweat. And
that's what I don't understand.
And I literally have goosebumps on my arms. And I'm like, some of the ensemble girls have now asked to have like sweaters put into their costumes because they're just so cold. And so then there's an air vent where one of my quick changes is.
Can't we have like a personal one wherever he walks and it's just on him?
It is the two of us every night. We have that same argument every night. He's like, you must be warm. You must be happy tonight, Cookie. And I'm like, I know. I'm going. I knew. Then the next night, I know I'm going to be freezing cold. But
you'll get your revenge in the summertime.
Every single night we fight about the weather, the cold
my gosh.
and hot. But I unfortunately wore a scarf during rehearsal in the 80 degrees weather outside. So like my say has nothing anymore because they're all like, oh, she's always cold. She's always cold. So then I'll be like poking on everyone going, go complain. Isn't it cold? Isn't it cold? Isn't it cold? So yeah.
It's cold now. It's just cold and wet and icky. It's just yucky, and it's not the nicest weather to sing in because you just... You know, Wednesday matinee is the hardest thing, and I'm just praying, dear God, no phlegm. Not right now. I don't need it right now. I'm standing there trying to be the picture of serenity with my mouse suit and a drum. And I'm looking out at the mountain, and I'm like, dear God. And I can feel it creeping up slowly, half inch by half inch.
You have to finesse the phlegm.
And I'm like, 100 million miracles.
It's true.
And the thing is, once that H comes out, and I feel like, oh, God.
Altoids keep the phlegm.
Ricola.
Altoids are good.
I'm going to sit in the back row when I see you.
Oh,
So what do you do?
Every time I run off stage, my dresser hands me an Altoid and a chug of water, and because I have just like a hair change, and like the music is literally just waiting for me to come back, and I just chew on Altoids just to keep the phlegm down.
Oh my God.
I suppose none of you drink milk. Is that true? Or is it
No
that's
dairy.
supposed to cheese, no dairy, or
I do. Lots of water.
Doesn't matter. So it's
Lots
different.
of water.
A
lot of water.
Yeah, because it keeps everything.
Oh, I have to set the record straight here, though. When I go into another show, I'll be doing 8 shows again. And
There you go.
And if I go into another show, I'll
that
be
wire.
sick.
I'm trying to hear what you're saying.
I'm nervous.
Gosh.
Well, Edie and I are freezing over here.
I wore a jacket. I had a feeling.
My scarf out.
Is it more competitive, do you think? Well, you have had a great deal of experience in this. Is the business more competitive than it used to be, do you think?
Well, I don't know how people survive. I don't even know, when I was here, and I know it doesn't fit anymore, but when I got to New York, I stayed in a room and paid $6 a week. It was big enough to, it was so small, I did everything in this little room. I lived on a little cot, and I put the clothes, hung them on the side of the wall, and I peed in the sink, and washed my hands, and shaved, and everything. It was all, I didn't have to move, because I couldn't move. But at the same time,
Urinetown.
Urinetown, listen. So that's the kind of experience. Why would I be embarrassed about Urinetown? But the point is, people, the first place that I had was $55 a cold water flat, and that would be $800 today. And they're usually, most actors nowadays have to live with somebody else. I don't know how young actors do it. I really don't know how they manage to do it. Probably a lot of them stay out in California.
I moved to LA and started doing some film and TV, and that allows me, I can afford now to come back and do a play here. That's how I've been doing it.
I did Grease on Broadway. I was doing one of the lead roles in a Broadway show, and I was living with 4 people. And I was a lead in a hit Broadway show.
Right.
And I was living with 4 people because I couldn't pay my... And our rent wasn't that much, you know, but I mean, it was so much in your salary. And then I also moved to LA and made residuals.
Don't you love LA?
And now,
Just
and
like
now
the
money
money
is-
meant.
and I
Standard
would
of
have done
living.
Hairspray for nothing.
So you have to love this.
Yeah.
This has got to
Oh,
be
yeah.
for
You
have
life.
to.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have to for anything
the passion
else.
is
Is
really
it?
That's
big
the only
here.
reason why actors
right.
should
Yeah.
do it.
Right.
is
Yeah.
Because they really love it.
That's the only thing that's going to keep you doing it.
That's right.
Because I had a teacher, Dr. Bella Itkin in Chicago. She said, if there's anything else that you can do, you will find yourself doing it.
Yeah.
So, you know,
You have to love it.
it's your passion that keeps you here and working for a little bit of money. And
Well, you've managed to do a little of everything, so you've spread it out because you can write, direct, act. Maybe is that easier? Rather than saying,
easier.
oh, I'm just going to be an
Yeah,
actor?
it is. I mean, it makes life more varied, which I think is good. And I mean, if you loved, and I love doing all those things, and like you say, if you love doing them, then you have to do them. There came a point in my career where I had to direct and write. I just had to, and I didn't know why I did necessarily. I just had to do it, so I did it. I made it sound so easy, didn't I?
Yes.
Yeah, sure did.
I just did it.
but I never would have written
I had to do it
any-
well.
I had to do it well, and I did.
And you did. They're modest, too. Yes.
I wrote 3 solo plays, but I never would have written any plays if I had work if I had work here that fulfilled me. You know, I had lots of work. I was always working, but I just needed work that fulfilled me as an artist as I grew. And when I realized that some of my best work was in class, you know, then I thought, well, what am I doing? I cannot keep complaining about this. I cannot keep complaining. I have to do something, even if I just create. And I created the first play not to make it a big play and bring it to New York or whatever. I just created it so I could have something to exercise my instrument with.
How did you learn to do that? Where did you learn writing?
I'm a storyteller. I come from storytellers. And I use that oral tradition, that storytelling thing, in order to tell my stories. I tell my play for like a year before I even write it down, so theaters know what it's going to be. It takes me 2 weeks to write it down after I've told it for a year or year and a half. But I tell it. I go places, I walk down. I'm writing my new play now. I'm writing it, has 6 characters, and I'm writing it as I walk to work every day. You know, just talking to myself and talking to people and going to dinner and taking hikes. Because my whole thing is that I am an actor, and I'm using my instrument to write this evening of theater. That's what I do.
Awesome.
Edie, what about working in The Sopranos and the theater?
Shall I?
You.
Are we?
You.
What about
Edie.
working in Sopranos in the theater? Well, they're not at the same time. Sopranos is done. Now I do the play, and then as soon as we close the play, I go back to Sopranos.
When do you do The Sopranos? Where do you do them?
In Queens, mostly Silver Cup Studios over the 59th Street.
So that you can work in the theater and do that
Sure.
as well.
You told me you liked doing both of them.
I do. They're completely different.
You must.
But I love them. I
We're
love
going
them
to
both.
continue on this in a moment, but first, we have to take a short break, and Isabelle Stevenson is going to tell us some more about the American Theater Wing.
Before we get back to the American Theater Wing Working the Theater seminar on performance, I would like to remind you that these seminars are only one of the many year-round programs that the Wing undertakes. You are probably familiar with the American Theater Wing's Tony Awards, given for achievement of excellence in the Broadway theater. We also have important grants programs, providing aid to off and off-Broadway theaters. We now offer 6 different scholarships for students to pursue studies in the theater arts. We have an expanded career guide program for beginning professionals. As a long-established charity, dating back from World War I and again in World War II, when we operate our famous stage door canteens, all of our programs are designed to reward and promote excellence in the theater. to introduce young people and their families to theater and the magic it unfolds. We take pride in the work we do and are grateful to our members and everyone whose contributions help make possible the dynamic